cupcake kisses, April's farm fresh eggs, and Susan can handle Gary's 6 inches?
Huh?
You are watching Romance Recap on Rita Seeks Romance channel, and we're discussing The Golden Bachelor, Season 1, Episode 1. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I am Tiffany Current.
You are invited to join us as we discuss and dissect the second chance romance journey of widower Gerry Turner as he searches for a partner with whom to share the sunset years of his life. If you are listening to us on Podbean or your podcast app of choice, then be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Romance Recap. Also, you can watch Romance Recap complete with graphics and visual effects on Reader Seeks Romance's YouTube channel, which celebrates the romance genre and promotes romance fiction. Check it out. If you dig the channel's vibe, then like and subscribe. Hello, Tiffany.
Hello, we're here. We're back to discuss another Bachelor show. Oh my God.
The Golden Bachelor. What is your general impression of the show so far?
You know what? I actually liked it. I went in there with like serious concerns. I was like, this is going to be cringy and gross, but it ended up being sweet and some like tear-jerking moments. And then it got a little sexy, which was very surprising to see like a 70-year-old getting sexy. And I'm like, I'm not quite sure how I feel about this. But overall, I liked it. What'd you think?
I agree as far as the heartbreaking, tear-jerking kind of intro to the show. I did shed a tear a few times, indeed. I am excited to see older people dating, enthusiastic about physical intimacy, which we'll talk a little bit about later. You know,
so much sex talk on this show.
There was a lot of innuendo, which now you mentioned you thought it was going to be gross. Now, in what way did you think it was going to be gross?
I thought I would be, and I did get a little cringe. I thought I was going to be cringing when they like were kissing, and I eventually did get a little cringy. I want to just say this. Can we just talk for a moment about the opening of the show?
Yes.
I was cracking up.
Yeah.
Starts with close up of Gerry putting in his hearing aid, and then we hear the first couple of chords of like Cat Stevens. And I was like, oh my God, I was like, we're in it. We are in it. We got Cat Stevens.
Okay,
we have the music swelling. It was ridiculous.
I thought I recognized the song, and for the life of me, I could not remember who sung it. And I was going to look it up, so I'm glad that you knew. Listen, it was really perfect. It was a little bit like over dramatic, but it got its point across.
I felt like I was watching a Hollywood movie. It to me, like at some point, like the music swelled, and I was like, this feels like some sort of like a sports movie where like the kid that everybody didn't think would make it got off the bench and they're shouting, Rudy, Rudy. But instead, they're shouting Gerry. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I was kind of into it, but I was also like, this is really kind of like trying to pull at our heartstrings here. That was kind of my thoughts from the beginning.
Well, I mean, the ultimate was when he's done getting ready, inserted the hearing aid, as you said, and he turns to the fireplace mantle. And there's a picture of his wife who passed 6 years ago, Tony.
I know.
And he's just like looking at it. And I'm like, okay, like this is very orchestrated, produced, this thing. I get it, but it made me kind of chuckle a little bit because it was so obviously, overdone in that moment. And then they do that, one-on-one camera confessional where Gerry talks about losing the love of his life. And I've watched
that was tough.
I've watched that a few times because I've seen clips on different online, media sites and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it always makes me cry when he gets choked up.
I know, because it's so real. And it made me think, when I was watching, I thought, this guy really is looking for love. And I thought it was just really sweet. It's a very sad story, obviously, but he actually legit does seem like he's looking for love. And I thought, and I rooted for him. I was like, I'm actually rooting for this guy.
Yeah.
Kind.
He seems to be a very kindly older gentleman. Just to recap the story, he shares that he was married to his high school sweetheart, the true love of his life, Tony, Toni, for 43 years. They had 4 daughters together. And then in 2017, and that's when the music changes as he's talking. It
Yes.
gets like ominous, In 2017, after Tony retired, the two of them bought their dream house along the lake. And I know he lives in Indiana, so there's lakes, I guess, in Indiana. I don't know.
There are lakes. There are lakes. I
Okay.
live there. There are lakes. Yes,
So
there are
there's a
lakes.
lake along in Indiana.
They have
And
bodies of water there.
well, I
Yes.
wasn't sure if they had, yeah, I guess they would have lakes. Okay. So, and
Sorry.
Tony became ill from a
Yes.
bacterial infection shortly after they moved into this their dream house, and she tragically died shortly thereafter.
A
And
month later. Depressing.
yes, and
Depressing.
that's when he breaks down. That's when I started to cry. And now it's been 6 years, and he makes it very clear that he's not looking to replace Tony. He wants to fall in love again and have companionship. I would presume from now until the end of his life.
Hopefully, yes,
Yes.
that's true.
So that's kind of where we begin. And Gerry is 71, although I think he's
Oh,
now 72. Like he's
okay, is he
71
72?
in the show when it was recording, but now when you look up online, he's 72. So he's in his early 70s.
And he looks really good for his age. He seems very fit. And I will say this one thing, we'll get into it. Watching the show, I was like, I thought they were going to let these people sit down. These people are in their 60s and 70s, and they're standing a lot. And I was like watching and slightly concerned, like, can they please just get them a chair? Just get them a chair. Why are they always standing?
It really is going to change people's perceptions of the older generation. Everyone thinks baby boomers, like, oh, they're in their 70s. They must need walkers and they need to sit every 2 seconds and, running to the bathroom and all that. But the show shows us, these people are in many ways probably more active and spry than people our age.
It was very surprising to see them being that agile, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
With that being said, let's get into the women, because I'd seen the women's pictures online, but I wasn't sure how it was going to work when they got out of the limousines.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about the very first woman that came out, Edith.
Let's talk about all the ones that are notable. All the ones that we saw something about is worth mentioning.
Yes. When Edith got out of that car, stunning. That was the one word that came in my mind. She was stunning in the dress, the hair, everything. I could tell by his expression. He also thought she was stunning. That's all I got.
It was no coincidence that they let her go out first, because you're right. She was, first of all, dressed in gold, came out with confetti. And yeah, very
forgot about that.
And she spoke Spanish to him. So she must be of Spanish descent, or I'm not sure, but she spoke, I believe it was Spanish. I
don't know, but somebody said that his crush was Penelope Cruz, so maybe
so
that was why. And I was like, he likes it spicy. Good for him, Penelope Cruz. Some notes. I was like, good for him.
It was.
That is a very specific crush for a 71-year-old man. He's like hands down Penelope Cruz. I was like, okay.
Right. Yeah. I thought that was interesting too. And some of the answers he gives throughout this episode, I do wonder if he was coached on what to say.
Interesting.
I don't know. We could discuss that.
There's one part that I think for sure was coached, and we'll get to that. But I will just say, Edith, I was like, what moisturizer do you use? I need to convert because you look amazing. This woman looked amazing. Fantastic. Flawless. Loved her.
And so just an FYI, because I wrote down all the ages of each contestant, the youngest 60, the oldest 75. So all of these women are between 60 and 75, which I think is making all sorts of history as far as any type of show where there's a cast of that many older women and man. So
I think it was fantastic. And it was interesting to see, because some of them, not that I thought 70-year-old people were boring. I have, my parents aren't boring most of the time, but I feel like at least watching these women, they were like, some of them were like super spicy. I was just not expecting it. One of the people that came out next that caught my attention was Sandra. And she did the whole like meditation, and at first they kept bleeping it, and I was like, is she saying the word F? And I was like, I think she is.
And I was
think it was F, cracking up laughing.
And Gerry was a really good sport. He
Yes.
joined in. And he got
Yes.
bleeped too.
Yeah.
So I thought that was good. I mean, I actually really liked Sandra. Very active woman.
Yes.
I forget what her job is. I feel like it's an executive type position
I don't
or
remember.
law or something. And she was not shy about
She's
admitting
not shy.
her need for physical intimacy. She mentioned it in her little, where they
In her quote,
behind the
yeah,
scenes
that's
talk
probably
about.
why she says that word all the time when she's chanting, because that's actually what she wants when she's saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
Should we
like to.
practice the chant? Do you want to practice the chant together to
Yes,
see what it
and
feels
I'll
like?
even do the bleeps too, just like they do on the show. What was she doing? Was she just going
And that's it. Yeah, that was it. That
she's
was
like
it.
actually that feels good.
That felt amazing.
That does feel good. I want to mention Ellen. Okay. Ellen
On
comes
my
out of the
list.
limo, and the first words she yells out is, "Roberta, we made it." So
Yes.
right there, Gary's like, "Who's Roberta?" As I asked the same thing aloud, in
Yeah.
fact. And she explains that Roberta is her best friend of 60 years who is dying of cancer, and that
Yep.
they used to watch The Bachelor together, or they still watch The Bachelor together.
I thought that was very sweet. And I was like, oh, that's really sweet. And that she's calling out her friend. And
Yeah.
it just seemed like a really nice, close bond. I hope that'll be us later on in life.
Oh, that's
Not the
really sweet
cancer
of you to.
part,
I mean,
but
60
yeah.
years of friendship, we'd both be dead. But you know what? I hope someday, if I'm on,
Maybe afterlife. We'll be in the afterlife together, and that'll be our additional.
I hope to run into you in the afterlife. We'll
Where
see.
else am I going to be, Liz? Where are you going to be?
I don't know. I don't know. So yes, so that was very sweet. That was another thing that then they showed, Ellen with Roberta, and that was the other time
Yeah.
I did cry. I mean, I have to say,
Oh,
they're really doing aces of a job here with, like you
I
said,
know.
tugging at the heartstrings.
I know.
Yeah.
They were really good. And then from there, they kind of went a little crazy with people coming in. There was
God.
the woman that came out with the walker and the
Yeah.
wig, Leslie, I believe her name is.
That's
And then she like ripped it off and she started dancing. And she's like, I dated Prince. And I was like, why are you on the show then, man? You dated Prince. Like, that's the best you can probably ever do in life. Let's just, you know what I mean? That's amazing. I would love to
Yes.
date Prince. It's not possible, obviously.
First of all, she should write a book. That's
Yes.
one. She
Yes.
claims, and I assume that the producers have fact checked this.
They vetted
Leslie
it.
claims that Prince wrote his song "Sexy Dancer" about her. I guess it's possible.
Is that what she said?
Yeah, that's what she said.
Oh my God,
Now
that's
that song
fascinating.
released in 1979, so it actually would make sense, I guess age-wise, that this song was written about her. After dating Prince, she was married twice.
I know.
So
Each one's 7 years. It's very may not be the best fit for Gerry.
I don't
May
know.
not be the best fit.
Yeah, I mean, how do you go from Prince to Gerry?
That's what I was saying. That is it. That is it, guys.
That's why she divorced twice after that, because nothing could compare. Nothing could compare to Prince. Nothing can compare to you.
He wrote the song. That's all him, man. And that's why I don't think Gerry will be able to compare to Prince either. I'm sorry, I love Gerry, but it's Prince, guys. Prince.
Yeah, I agreed. I don't think Leslie and Gerry are going to go the distance. Do you have the birthday suit lady?
Yes. Yes, that's what it is.
Teresa. So it's Teresa's 70th birthday on the day that they film the first episode of The Golden Bachelor. And she starts to do this coy little strip tease, and she opens up her jacket, and then they cut to break, but you just see Gary's face like all wide-eyed. And I really thought that maybe she was nude.
I was very nervous for him and for her. And I was like, I don't think this is appropriate, guys. This is not appropriate. His children are watching this show. Come on.
Yeah. But
that was strange.
It was not, though. It was a dress the color of her skin tone, it appeared. Or something close to it.
Something close to it, but it was no. What I liked about him is his facial expression was so nervous and concerned and
Yeah.
like, should I be looking at this? And then he saw it and he's like, I think this is just a
Yeah.
regular
He handled,
clothes.
there was a lot of sticky situations that Gerry was
Yes,
put into, and he handled every one of them with grace. Every single one
he
of them.
did. What
Yeah.
did he do for a living? Do we know? Because he did handle all that with grace. He was very kind.
Why do I feel like he worked with his hands and built boats? Did I just make that up? I feel like he's a
Feel
boat
like
builder.
I feel like you for sure made that up because you're like he lives on a river, so clearly
Like he
he
builds
he
boats.
has boats and he builds with his hands. I think because he's tall. I feel like tall
Yeah.
people are good with their hands. I don't know.
Okay, I'll take that. You know what? I'm not even going to look up what he did for a living or does for a living. I'm going to say he builds boats.
He builds boats. He's a boat builder. That's super
He
exciting.
builds boats. Now, Teresa, she did reveal that her husband had passed 9 years ago. So right there, they have
Yeah,
they
that
have that
connection.
mutual understanding of losing a spouse. So I think Teresa, is promising. I think she's a promising candidate for his
I don't
affection.
know. I don't know. I was still totally put off by the birthday suit. And I have a sense of humor, but I was like, come on. I was like, I don't know if he's going to have a stroke or get an erection. Either way, I don't want to see it. I don't want to be part
Maybe
of it.
both at the same
Maybe
time.
both at the same time. That's why I had a stroke.
Yeah.
But it was like too much for me. I was like, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. My next person was, I don't remember her name, the 6
Oh,
inches girl.
okay. Let me skip down. That is Susan, age 66, and she arrived in a feathery, rhinestoney dress. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, I think that's correct.
Yes.
Oh my God. These women, I feel like that was uncalled for. She saw him, she said, "You see my heels?" I'm like, those are nice heels. I can handle 6 inches. I was like, come on, lady.
Okay. I have a lot of
Gerry is
issues with that.
clean. Yes, tell me.
Because here's the thing. So she says I'm comfortable with 6 inches. One, I looked up to see what the average length is of a man's member. It's
I like how you paused the stream. You're like, I've got to look this up. I've got to figure
I
out the
did.
average
Oh,
size.
I paused. This took me almost 2 hours to watch this because I kept pausing. So it's 6 inches is about average. Okay. So she's
Okay.
like, I can handle 6 inches, but makes it sound like that's an overly large size. As if to say,
Yes.
oh, look at me, I can handle 6 inches. But she didn't say 10 inches. She was like, okay, you can handle 6, you can handle the average. Congratulations. So can all of us.
I feel like, well,
imagine.
can we? That's like a very threatening statement. We can handle it. We can handle it. Bring it on.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I was like, why are you going there, poor Gerry? And it was rude to say the 6 inches out of nowhere. I was like, 6 inches, okay.
Well, here's the thing. What if he's 5? Or what if he's 8? And he's
Then
like,
she
well,
can handle 5'8". It's like, you know what?
yeah.
We got to size you down.
I feel like there was a lot of assumptions that she made that maybe was not appropriate for a first encounter.
I feel for this age range, I just thought it was inappropriate. I know that sounds terrible, but if it was a younger person, I'd be like, all right, they're just being kind of trashy. This age, I was like, 6 inches. Come on, lady. Come on. He was being very polite. He's like, ha 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 ha. And he's probably like 6 inches.
Yeah, I think Susan.
He's like, have you seen how big my boat hands are? I'm much bigger than 6 inches, obviously.
Well, that's true. If you're gonna go by his size, yeah. Like
He's
maybe
very
he was
large.
insulted. Maybe he was insulted. He's like, oh, you think I'm 6 inches, lady? I think Susan's too fast for Gerry. You know what I mean?
That's like what my mom would always say, like, she's fast. I don't know if she's too fast. I think she's just too, like, I don't know, like just a little too dirty. I like dirty. We read dirty things, but I don't want to see dirty with Gerry. Gerry's very kind.
Yeah, we have to respect his vibe, respect who he is. And I think some of them are trying to make him into something he's not.
Speaking of that, I think we should go talk about April.
Oh, we definitely need to talk about April. I've got comments about April later on, too.
So April walks in with a basket of eggs because she worked on she lived on a chicken farm. She had chickens growing up. I couldn't remember why.
She was raised on a chicken farm, but then they cut to footage of her older on a farm with chickens and ducks. So I think she still has an affinity for chickens.
I was just so confused by that. But did she say something sexual about the eggs? I feel like,
She said
am I
something
imagining it?
biological about the eggs. So she said, my eggs are still
Still
fresh.
fresh. That's it.
As
And
if
it's like,
this,
are
but
they
here's,
having children?
well, no, it
It's
just it
like,
made no sense because, first of all, if your eggs are still fresh, then you're not 65. And the other thing is that why would that be an enticement for him? Oh, your eggs are still fresh. Let's put a baby in you. Like what I don't understand. I didn't understand that. She acted very saucy about it, as if,
yes.
oh, I really showed him with my. It's like, but that's not even that. Does I? That's why I'm starting to wonder again. And we've talked about this in other episodes of past reality shows that we have covered. Is how many of these lines are being fed to them?
Some of them are being fed to them. Some of them are being, I'm sure the 6 inches potentially was being fed, and she's probably like, I'll say it. The eggs thing, I'm sure. Can we just talk about Jimmy Kimmel's aunt appearing randomly on
Chippy.
the. I was like, first of all, she came out, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. An 84-year-old woman. I was like, okay, that's fair. Why not? And then it's revealed it's Jimmy Kimmel's aunt who just wanted to meet Gerry for
Yeah.
comic effects.
Yes.
Crazy.
Well, Aunt Chippy, I had a feeling who she was. As soon as I saw her, I said, I think that's Aunt Chippy because Jimmy has put a lot of his family members into his episode,
Oh,
into his live tapings. He'd have them come
yeah.
in and do, sketches and skits and everything. So Aunt Chippy is like a known character from the Jimmy Kimmel universe. So when I saw, I was like, I think Aunt Chippy.
That's
And
funny.
then now it was a cute little sketch. You see her then, meeting
Yeah.
Harry and then falling asleep on the couch. Was it necessary? No, it was
No.
cute, but I was like, all right.
It was unnecessary. The only
It
other
was
person that I actually wrote down for entrances was just Faith, the very last person who arrived on the motorcycle, and they did like a very slow-mo of her like shaking her hair and taking off her helmet. And I love how they showed the women looking at like, there's no way she's 60.
I think Faith is going to be that one person everyone's hating on.
But the thing is, I agree, but she seems so
She
sweet.
does. She does seem
She
sweet.
seems so
She
sweet.
does. She said, now this is, I don't know if this is a red flag or not, but she was married for 21 years before divorcing. So
That is true. Well,
I'm
I that's
wondering.
acceptable. That's
Oh,
people are allowed
it's
to get
acceptable. I'm
divorced.
just wondering what was the reason? Is this something Gerry needs to be made aware of? Like, I don't know.
But we don't know when she got married. Did she get married when she was
Mm,
20 and then got
true.
divorced at 40 because it's a new life? Did she get married at
Ah,
40 and then divorced at 60? We don't know the timeline of this
true.
divorce.
True.
So,
True. I look forward to learning more about Faith. And she is 61, so she's in the younger
ah,
end of the age group. There's a few other people that I wrote notes about simply because they kind of come up later on in some way. So there's this woman, Renee, 67, who dresses as a cheerleader. And
okay.
she does this very cringe type of cheer. Okay. Um,
Yes. Ugh.
okay. But here's the thing. I applaud her because this is what my take is. Renee was like, I'm not getting into this ball gown situation. I want to be comfortable.
Oh,
I want to wear a comfy polyester tracksuit. So I'm going to do a cheerleading sketch. Okay. And then, but here's the thing, then I felt bad because she was sitting there. I don't know if there was a shot of her sitting there in her tracksuit
I
with all
know.
these gorgeously attired women. And I felt
I
kind of bad for
know.
her. It's like
It
she
was
didn't make
like the odd man
a
out. I
decision.
felt like she was like Marie Osmond or something with the group. It was a very weird situation.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a great thought process because honestly, I would not do the cheer, but showing up in a tracksuit, being very comfortable, you're wearing
Yeah.
regular tennis shoes, etc., is fantastic. But then you're right. Then she is sitting around with these beautifully groomed ladies, and she's just like,
Yeah.
just in my 90s tracksuit.
Well, that's just,
What's
here's
going
the thing. She could
on?
have jazzed up that tracksuit, though. She could have made a comfortable outfit that was still bedazzled in some way or just eye
She could have
catching.
she could have changed. She could have changed the tracksuit. She could have
Yeah,
taken off the jacket if she wanted and have like a nice fancy top
she
with the
could have.
fancy pants.
Yeah. So I feel like she might have been advised incorrectly, whoever advised her on this. And I felt kind of felt sorry for her. So Patty is one of the contestants. She's 70. She's the mother of former Bachelor Matt James from season
Yes, okay.
25 that aired in 2020. And now I didn't. Did you watch that season? I did.
I did not watch that season, no.
What I understand, Patty appeared in that season with her son and got a lot of screen time.
Wow, interesting.
So
Okay.
I'm just wondering, was this just like a publicity stunt, like by the
Hmm.
producers? They're like, oh, let's just throw Patty in because she
Hey,
didn't
people know
seem.
Patty. She seemed a little quiet and
Yeah,
kind of like she wasn't sure if she wanted to be there.
yeah,
Whenever I've seen her in interviews, I think she said that her son encouraged her to go. So maybe she's just like, all right, my son asked me to go. I'll be on this show.
yeah. They might have backed
That's
up the
fine.
money truck and been like, hey, we want there to be like a gimmick for the season, and it would be good if you're on it.
We want the Patty brand. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's possible. So who was it that you felt like we have a lot to talk about?
there is a woman attired in a blue sequined dress named Kathy. And
Who was Kathy?
they kept going to Kathy in like just one of those one-on-one camera confessionals. And she was like really like slamming people in a subtle but aggressive way. And she said in a very snarky, like, demeanor, she said, I came in creatively walking.
Yes, I remember her. She was entertaining me. Like even at the very near the rose ceremony, it was
Yes,
like they kept going to her. You're right. She was making those she was making those snarky remarks.
very
I
and very
feel like this is a
overconfident.
person, yeah, I feel like this is a person who doesn't watch The Bachelor. So maybe she doesn't know what people do on this, which is to come in ridiculous
Yeah,
outfits and say ridiculous things.
yeah.
But she was very much just like, I just walked in. Why are they, wearing a cheerleading outfit or
Right.
whatever? That's true.
Now,
She was yeah. I think she'd be like a good radio announcer because she had a lot to say.
she and here's the thing, that she spoke to the camera in a very overly familiar, unaware of how she sounded way. She kept saying, she's like, oh, none of them know. I'm the one. I'm the one who's gonna win Gerry. And I was like, oh
It
boy,
was
lady.
it was very aggressive and it's like you don't even first of all, you don't know him.
Yeah,
It's like you don't know this man, so maybe you don't want to win him. I
yeah.
don't know. But she was that was funny though. That's
Very
true. That's
aggressive.
very
And they
aggressive.
followed her closely when they
Yeah.
were doing the rose ceremony. They kept cutting back and forth to her comments.
Because she kept saying like, "Where's my rose? Where's my rose?
Where's
Where's
my
my
rose?
rose?"
Yeah. So she was
It was
very
like it was
uncomfortable.
like like Lord of the Rings, and they were like, oh, fresh. She was like very aggressive about it, and I was like, lady, either you get one or you won't. It's not
Yeah.
a big deal.
Yeah.
You don't know
She was
Gary.
giving us nothing, but wanted everything in return.
So they eventually all come in and they're sitting around, and it's that time for Gary to go off and kind of do one-on-ones. And the very first lady that pops up was, of course, April, the egg lady. And what
Mhm.
does April, the egg lady, give Gary? A calendar with only the month of April, with her photos on each freaking page.
Yeah.
What I liked about him is he turned the calendar, and as he kept going, he's like, it's just April. He's just like, it's just April. And I was like, man, you gotta run. This isn't gonna work for you. You gotta get out of this right now. I guess she was
Yeah.
being cute, but I was just like, come on, April. First the eggs, now a calendar.
Yeah, first of all, she immediately swooped in and was the first
Yes.
person to grab him at the cocktail hour.
Yes.
So I applaud her initiative. But I felt like everything slowed down the minute she made it about herself, which was this calendar that she's gifting him. And I was like, eh. And
Why not?
April steals a quick kiss on the lips, a very chaste kiss. And
Yes.
I have to backtrack just a little bit and mention that April was not the first person to steal a kiss that night. Pamela, who we really learn nothing about.
Nothing.
And she's the 75-year-old. She is in the older end of the spectrum here for the contestants. She steals a kiss from Gary right there on that red carpet reception line. And she was proud of it and kind of bragged about it a little bit to the other contestants.
Yes.
So right at this point in the show, there's been 2 stolen kisses.
Can I just
Okay.
say something about the kisses? There were 2 stolen kisses. We get more kisses. And as I'm watching this, I was like, you guys have got to stop. Not because I was grossed out. I was legit concerned for their health. I was like, flu season is coming up. You're in an older age range. Why are you kissing? I was like legit concerned. I was like, you guys have to stop kissing. I was like, Gerry, stop kissing these women. You are at an age range that is very hazardous to your health. I was so nervous.
I thought that you were more concerned with the fact that they were just kind of not getting consent for those kisses. No. That's what I thought you were going to say, is that they were just like assaulting him. But you're concerned about physical illness.
I was just because it's like that age range. I don't know what's going on in my mind. I kept thinking flu. Every time they kiss, I kept thinking like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, you're at risk of a cold and you're at the age where it matters.
Listen, I'm sure they probably required all of them to get all of their shots.
So they're all vaccinated.
Yeah. They all have the newest vaccines. They probably have their flu, Hep B, all that other stuff. So I'm sure that they were able to, they kissed with confidence, knowing
I hope so. That was my one takeaway. I kept watching. I kept thinking, oh my God.
Yeah.
These people are at risk.
I didn't think of that at all, because when I think of love, I think of it as conquering all, including illness and disease.
I feel like that's good for you. I am more logical. And I think all those years ago, like in middle school, when they had that sex ed class and like they taught you about all these diseases, it stuck with me for my life. So I get concerned. Right. I get nervous. I've never thought of that on any other dating show, but this one I was like, oh my God.
It seems like you are working off of your own internal script that old people are fragile and disease-ridden.
That is true. But to be fair, there are some facts behind that statement.
Well, yes, science does prove they are at a higher risk. Yes.
but yes, I was apparently fighting my own demons while watching this show. I was like, man, I was battling my own ideas about this older generation.
Wow. This is really opening our eyes to a lot.
Speaking of which, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I'm curious to know if you're going to go the same place I was going to go. Go ahead. Go for it.
Probably not. I want to just talk really fast, just for a quick moment, where I think Gerry is sitting down with Sandra again and they're talking. Oh. And I think was it a roach that landed on her leg? There was I was like, where are they filming this show? You should not have roaches on The Bachelor.
Isn't it LA? Gross. Don't they film in LA?
Well, they do have roaches in LA. Let's
be honest. They do? I've never seen roaches in LA.
I think if you go to the bad parts of LA, you probably will see some.
What is this mansion? Listen, maybe it wasn't a roach. She just thought it was a roach because we didn't see it.
She saw it. They were both nervous. And I was like, legit, why have you guys not cleaned this house?
Did he kill it?
No.
I wonder if
they probably didn't want him to, because they're like, that'll make you look bad. That'll make you look bad. Killing a living being.
But once the camera was off, I bet Gerry just...
He took off that shoe, man.
With his boat-building hands.
He used his hands, his big hands.
And then he just like wiped it off on his shirt. Man.
I know, right? He just wiped it back in his hair because he's like, I don't even care. These women will kiss me anyway.
Yes, I had forgotten about that with San. Wait, what is it? Sandra?
I think it's Sandra. It's like the same name.
Oh, Sandra. Okay. I found Natasha's time with Gerry to be interesting. She engaged him in an introduction laughter session, which was maniacal. I've heard of laughter yoga and stuff like that. Where you laugh and it's supposed to loosen up your mouth and your facial muscles. I don't know if that was what they were supposed to be doing, but she let out this rip-roaring laugh. And Gerry again, participated, didn't make her feel like she was acting inappropriate, which I guess not. No, he was a very good sport about it. He also did the same thing, and he laughed like a lunatic as well.
It was very strange, but watching that scene, I thought, she's too much for you. I could already, for my opinion, I was like, she would just eat you alive. This isn't going to work out, because she just has like so much energy. Yeah. And I just don't think you'd be able to handle her. I think she's lovely. Yeah. But I was like, you won't be able to handle that.
Yeah. She seems like she's on a different life path. She looks like, I mean, if she's doing laughter like sessions, she probably does a lot of wellness and maybe some new age
Yes.
practices. And I feel like that would be a huge learning curve for Gerry. So I don't know if
I agree. He's more of a softer, sensitive, slow building a boat type man. And
yes.
she's more like, I'm gonna go out into the world. Not really the same path.
He's on the booze cruise. He's on the boat and
The
she's on the
snooze
booze
cruise.
cruise. Yeah, he's on the snooze cruise. Um,
Should we go
oh,
to the birthday girl? Can I just say, when they brought out the cupcake for her, obviously this was all planned by the producers, right?
yes, it was.
And she was very excited about this. And then he said, like, if I get it on my face, will you get it off for me? I'm thinking, once again, this is producers, fine. And so she's like, yes, please, eat
Yeah.
the cupcake, eat the cupcake, eat the cupcake. And I was like, all right, lady, chill out, please, about this cupcake. And then he ate the cupcake and then kissed. And that was my first cringe moment. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I do not want to see this lady lick this icing off this man's lip. I'm sorry, I am not here for this. I am not here for this.
Oh God.
I'm not
Okay.
here for this.
I can't relive this. Here's the thing. This was the failing on that whole scenario. He needed to get more icing on his lip. That way we knew she was actually getting icing. There was so little icing on his lip. She was literally just sucking his lip. Now maybe I sound like a crotchety, ornery old person who doesn't like physical contact. I'm all for kissing vigorously, but
Yes.
if the point is to get icing off and to make it sexy, there should be enough icing so you're mixing the sweetness with the saltiness of his mouth. Not where you're just sucking the bare minimum of frosting off, and then the rest is just his sweat. That's all I
What
have.
I like about this is the fact I feel like you did a lot of pausing of this show and just like thinking of like, this is where this, you're like, fact check everything that you're watching. You're like, fact check. Like, this icing amount is incorrect.
Yeah.
Mouth to tongue amount. This is incorrect.
Yeah.
All I know is that it was gross. I don't want to say the word gross. No, it was gross.
It,
I
it was
was like,
unappetizing. It was
it was.
unappetizing.
I said out loud, ew, out loud,
Yeah.
watching it. I was like, ew. I
Yeah.
can't watch somebody lick icing off of somebody's
Yeah.
mouth. And you're right, it was like a little,
It
it
was
was like
also
it
long.
was like a
He
little
did not. He
mustache.
didn't understand the assignment. Sorry, Gare. You didn't
I
understand.
don't know if they told him, I don't know if he thought that she would wipe it off with a napkin. Cause I was hoping, I'm like, please just wipe it off with your fingers. Don't kiss him. But that was clearly planned and I did not appreciate it.
Yeah, she could have played it in a sexy way without gobbling his face up. You know what I mean? She could have taken what he said and just like sensually. Oh, maybe like she took some of her dress and wiped it off. I don't know, like
Yeah.
just sensually wiping it
Took
off.
her dress.
Like she takes off her
She lifts up her
panties
skirt.
and then she just wipes up his mouth.
Oh, I'll show you my birthday suit and I'll wipe it off.
And something.
Yeah, it was like it wasn't sexy for me. I think she really likes him and she was
Oh
over
yeah, she really does like him.
enthusiastic. I don't blame her or think or anything about that. It was just whatever the producers were trying to make happen. I did not find that to be a magical moment.
Yeah,
Not for me.
it missed the mark for me. When I watched it, I recoiled a little bit. I was like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about this. Now, correct me if I am wrong, but wasn't Gerry and Teresa prior to the cupcake incident, they were talking about their daughters, her daughters, his daughters. Did he reveal that his granddaughter told him that he has Riz,
That was a different person. I think that was
Oh,
Mariana potentially, because maybe somebody with an M. I can't remember her name.
oh, was it
She said
Maria?
that
Maria? Was there a Maria?
there was, I don't know. It was a lady that starts with an M, and
Oh,
she said that that's
Marina
it.
with the
She's
sari.
beautiful.
She wore a
Yeah.
sari. Yeah.
She said, my kid said you were dope, and he said the word Riz. I'm sorry, I don't know what Riz means.
I didn't either. So you know what I did? I
Shut up.
paused it and
Fact
I looked
check.
it up.
What
So,
was it? What does it
so
mean?
first of all, when he said my granddaughter says I have Riz, I
Did you think
immediately
it was jizz?
I
Did you
know
think jizz?
no, I actually didn't. Well, kind of. I thought it sounded like a STD when he says, "Oh,
Oh.
my granddaughter says I have Riz." So to me, it was like he had an STD. So I guess kind of like what you were saying. But I looked it up and it means charisma. Charisma, Riz.
Oh my God,
But
that
listen,
is such a
I don't know
stupid
who's
thing.
using this. In
No,
Indiana, maybe? Is that where your
nobody's.
granddaughters live? That using the word Riz?
Shut
You got Riz?
You have something against Indiana. That's what we're discovering today. You don't
I
think they have any
don't.
bodies of water?
I don't have.
You think
Indiana
they
is
say
my neighbor.
Riz?
Indiana is my neighbor.
Oh my God, you're cracking
Um,
me up. I will never use the word Riz in my life because that's ridiculous. That's
wait, is
ridiculous.
it
That's
ridic? Riz is ridic.
Oh my goodness, that's
Okay. So what's
hilarious.
funny is the next note I have. Oh, wait, we didn't talk about Faith.
We have to talk about Faith.
He serenades Gerry with her guitar.
Can I just say, when I saw Faith talking to Gerry with that guitar, for some reason I was getting very much Peggy Bundy vibes. What's her name in real life?
Oh, Katie Seagal.
I was getting for sure Katie Seagal vibes whenever she was talking to Gerry. Something about her looks like her, feels like
Okay.
her, vibes like her.
Okay.
That's the
I
vibe I
can
was
say
picking up.
she has a very familiar look.
She does have. All I know was I really liked Faith. I really liked Faith and Gerry together. I think this is like end zone type of situation. They were very sweet. She started playing him that song, and when she sang, that was such a sweet song. That was very
Wrote that,
sweet.
right? That was an original song.
I think. Oh, you didn't
I
back
don't
check
remember
it?
what it was about, but I felt like it was original.
I think it was original too, but more importantly, I love how he was like looking at her when she was singing and
Yeah.
etc. It
Oh,
was just
yeah.
very
Oh,
sweet.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. I thought it was a sweet gesture. In my experience watching, now we've recapped the courtship, we recapped the Bachelorette with Gabby and Rachel. Um, any anybody who sings usually doesn't make it to the end. Anybody who serenades or relies on musical expressions of love and devotion, I feel in the end they don't win.
I think that's for those other shows. I feel like this is different.
Okay.
She seems genuine, unlike other people who are like doing it for attention. That
Okay.
seems like very genuine from her heart, and I feel like he felt a connection with her. And I liked, and then when they kiss later, I was not grossed out by that. I was like, this is sweet.
It seemed like a genuine, authentic, loving kiss.
It did. It seemed like a legit, real kiss, not being pressured by the producers.
Yeah.
Natural kiss, and I was like, all right, this is cute. I can handle this kissing. I can handle this kissing.
Yeah, I agree. The next note I have is that a dance party breaks out. And I think that was the cringe moment for me that was like, I got to fast forward through this.
Stop it. It was very strange. I think that was another producer moment where they're like, let's have you guys dancing so people could see that you're still young and fun and whatever. And somebody was inappropriately grinding against Gerry, by the way. I don't know who was grinding against him, but there was definitely some grind action. And I was like, this is not right, guys. Come on. And you're in a group of all girls. You need to go back and do like a zoom in. There was a grind moment, and I was like,
really? That's shocking.
Well, not so shocking with what we've seen so far in this episode. So the first impression rose happened. We see Gerry walking in, saying hello to the ladies, grabbing the rose, and walking past that group where they're like, I guess he's going someplace else. He, of course, gives it to Faith, who I think deserved it and is the right fit. And that's when we kind of see them talking and getting to know each other a little bit more. And then that's when that lovely kiss happens again. It was very sweet.
And we start checking in with people like Kathy, who we talked about earlier, and Teresa. And they're starting to get an April, and they're starting to get a little hot under the collar because they're like, I thought I stood out tonight. And I don't know what Kathy did. We never really saw, but she seems to feel deserving. But Teresa and
there's
April
probably like 10 minutes of stuff that happened that we never saw. I don't know, but she was very aggressive about it.
Yeah, but April and Teresa are starting to seem like they're getting some hurt feelings.
There was definitely some hurt feelings. I think Teresa was upset because they did kiss. To be fair, they did kiss, and he didn't give her the rose.
After the first impression rose, Gerry then has to say goodbye he says goodbye to 6 contestants.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it. I had to look up who it was because I only caught a few of them. So Gerry says goodbye to Anna, Pamela, Maria, Patty, Renee, and Sylvia. And then he cries, which I thought was really
He
touching that he felt so bad.
legit cried. I believed him. He said he's been thinking about this for months. This is the thing he was most concerned about. I believed his tears were genuine because he probably did
Yeah.
feel really bad because you're at that age where like I don't want to be unkind to people. And he seems very sweet. So I believed it. I will say once again in this scene, I also thought they should be sitting down in chairs. I'm just saying they should be sitting down in chairs. There's no reason for them to be standing to walk up to get the rose. Have them sit in chairs. That's all.
Just out of consideration for your elders, I think it would be
Yes.
nice just to have one of these like wraparound couches. Just
Yeah.
a luxury
Yes.
wraparound couch.
Yes.
Why
Yes.
not?
Love it. Love it. Done.
You're right. I mean, I guess they're trying to treat them like, you know, other contestants from other Bachelor
That is
franchise
true.
shows.
That is
But
true.
you know what? This is a different show. Why not show your elders some respect?
Have them sit in a chair. It's not going to make them look bad. I don't know.
No.
Anyway.
I agree. The contestants who remain in the circle of safety, which apparently is the trademark term for the remaining contestants, Ellen, Teresa, Joan, Natasha, Leslie, Christina, Edith, Nancy, April, Sandra or Sandra, Jeannie, Kathy, Marina, Peggy, Faith, and Susan. Some of them we really never got to know at all.
That's very true. That is very true.
And then some of them we did. We mentioned them earlier, but like I don't know who Joan or I don't know who Joan is.
There were some people that did not get screen time, which tells me that they'll probably be fast to cut later on in the season.
Probably.
But I was happy with who he picked from the people that we were introduced to, and some people I think he kept are probably going to just keep things interesting.
Yeah. Why don't you fill us in on the dramatic preview clips at the end of this episode?
I'm not sure if I can remember all of it, but in the preview, it was like, I have to admit, once again, I was very surprised by what I saw. All I know is upcoming on this season of The Golden Bachelor, there is apparently a lot of making out in the hot tub. Once again, I was like, I did not expect that to happen. There's always making out in the hot tub. I did not expect to see it this season, but I think there was making out in the hot tub. For some reason, they go to a diner and people are dancing around on tables like flash dance. I was not feeling it. I did not appreciate it. There was like kissing against a wall. There was like kissing in a field. There were tears. As usual, somebody saying, that's it. I'm done with the show. Gerry getting up and walking away. Another woman saying, I can't believe you would do this to me. It looks very dramatic. So I think we're in for a pretty good season.
When I saw those previews, I was like, whoa, like I did not expect the same level of drama. And I mean, it might not be. Maybe they're just building it up in the preview clips, but it looks like the same drama that we've seen in past, Bachelor shows. So I'm like curious to know how it escalates. And there was even a clip of Gerry saying that next to his wife's death, this was the second most, I don't know, traumatizing or tragic thing in his life, is having this tumult from, I guess, having to bid women
whatever
adieu,
happened.
It's like, so like it was very dramatic. And again, you see the stomping off the stage type of thing.
Yes. It was very dramatic. It was unexpected. Can we please talk about the scene of the people in the freaking diner? What were your thoughts when you saw that? I was so not feeling it.
So it looked as if they might have been at some kind of backlot, like a studio or something.
That's fair.
Where they did this whole production dance scene in a 1950s diner or
And the
something?
1950s diner. Maybe they're like, remember you were young? This is
Yeah,
what the
well,
diners look
well,
like.
that's just it. Like, I guess because you figure he was born in the 50s, if he's in the if he's
Yeah.
70 something, or so yeah, probably yeah. So I guess it's like, oh, let's do some like a sock hop. I don't know. But it's like, okay, fine if you're looking at a show, but then he was participating. It's like, why do we keep making
Yes.
this man dance? He was a boat builder.
We also saw him doing rock climbing, and I thought, this man does not rock climb. Why are we watching him go down the rocks? He does not do this.
Yeah.
He builds his boats. He builds his boat on the river. That's it.
Yeah.
Or the
I
lake. I guess it's a lake. I don't know.
a lake, a river, it's really the same
It's a
thing.
body of water. A body
It's
of
water.
water.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by what yeah, like some of it seemed really intense and,
Yeah.
super active. It's like, okay, well, we don't have to try to prove that much to people. Like, I understand you want to break down stereotypes and ageism and address that, but you can't take it down a notch. We don't want anyone getting hurt.
I am very concerned. They were rock climbing, they were riding horses. I was like, Gerry doesn't do this, guys. I don't know this for a fact, but I know it for a fact. I was like, he does
Yeah.
not do this. He doesn't rock climb. He doesn't ride freaking horses.
Yeah. I mean, and they're kissing. I mean, how much more dangerous can the show be?
And it's like, and he could catch the flu?
Yeah.
Come
I
on.
mean,
This is
seriously.
ridiculous.
I'd like to mention an interesting side note is that after the Golden Bachelor, there was the season premiere of Bachelors in Paradise, and I thought it was
Interesting.
interesting that our girl Rachel Recchia from The Bachelorette is on the show. She's one of the
I did
contestants.
not know that. No.
It is.
Whoa.
It is.
That's
It's
fascinating.
kind of interesting. So I thought that was kind of like of note.
That is of note. That is interesting. It's just to me also more of a weird pairing. I don't think it's the same audience from the Golden Bachelor to
Oh yeah,
the
I
Bachelor
started
in
watching
Paradise.
some of it and it is yeah, it's not a good lead-in to Bachelors in Paradise. Having the Golden Bachelor, like that's not a great lead-in. It totally, like you said, totally different audiences.
It's like there's people who are drinking more milk, and then there's people who are taking shots of tequila. They aren't going to the same party. It's not the
No,
same situation.
no.
It's weird.
Yeah, it is.
It was an interesting episode. I am actually surprisingly looking forward to next week.
As am I. Well, that's all we got for you. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you're watching or listening to Romance Recap on Reader Seeks Romance channel. Tiffany, I'm going to leave everyone with a lesson learned from Pamela, who didn't make it past the Golden Bachelor premiere. Stealing a kiss does not equal stealing a heart.
That's an amazing lesson to leave the show on.